Hello. Okay. So back to the charts, right? So this is kind of the foundation that I'm trying to build off of. So we have our bearish candle, right? That bearish candle will always obviously be structure, right? These candles is going to tell me the structure. So we have this kind of like bearish push, right? And now with this bullish push, right? Something that I want to keep in mind is if it doesn't break this resistance here, this bearish candle, because off this bearish candle we made resistance, right? So this is telling me what resistance is actually valid when it comes to the structure, right? So with that being said, what we want, right, as this is kind of building up and making this candle, it doesn't matter how we form, right? So we can either form like this, right, which means candles. Actually, let me actually put a bullish candle, bearish candle, right? So bearish, so that would be that level of resistance right there, right? So within this candle here, I need a higher high, bullish, right? That's what I need. I need this to be seen here, right? So that's the ideal look, right? So with that being said, even if we on this time frame start to do something, actually let's do something like this. Say we start forming like structure, something like this, right? We start to make maybe something like this, and then we get right. We start to get stuff like this, right? And this is what it'll look. So same thing, this bearish candle, all this, right? Now, same thing, right? Think of it as just a push. Candles, 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 candles. It's the same thing how we wanted the first time, right? Essentially, that's what we want, right? We just want bullish candles, candle, 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 candle. It's not always gonna be like that, right? Structure is never gonna be smooth. Very rare is it. Most likely it'll be something like this, right? So it'll look like we have higher lows, right? It'll look like we have structure, but again, none of this structure is valid, right? So what's kind of like our something that will help us stay grounded, right? When it comes to our foundation is again understanding this candle. This candle, this bullish candle, is only valid if we break this previous lower high point. Why? Because it's showing me here. So say this is like on the monthly and this is weekly. This candle here is showing me that there's resistance here. It's showing me, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, in order for this to be valid, it has to break the previous level of lower high point resistance. So anything else before that, kind of like these lower high points, this lower high point, all that is just noise. That's all that is, just noise, right? So that's one way that we can feel confident when we kind of are in this candle, right? Now, again, it can still push up. For example, it can still push up and not break that higher high, right? And that's because obviously this structure here, well, we have candles, right? So this candle, weekly candles represent lower time frame, like daily H4, H1 structure. That structure now has to be maintained and pushed up, right? Because again, so that's how you can that's how we can feel confident now whether or not we kind of necessarily don't have don't we don't how to put it, we don't need to have a break to feel confident in entering within this candle, as long as the weekly candles, because again, that's going to be just weekly candles, going to be weekly pushes, right? These pushes, these candles have structure on lower time frame, so now that structure has to be broken, and that's how we'll feel confident in kind of pushing towards an area like this. But then once it gets to this area, this key area where you know what, structure has to be broken, structure has to be, if you don't break that area, it can mean signs as to like, all right, let's start to like look for a reversal, right? Once this candle now is engulfed, right? Because once we have that, and once we have a weekly candle show us that we broke a higher low point, and now that candle is pretty much making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, then we can start to aim for something, I don't know, like another key level, right? Doesn't mean we're fully bearish, right? But at least we can start to aim for stuff like that. So again, main thing is that if we don't have a main structure break, that's the thing. We just want to feel confident in our candles, right? That's the main thing. That's how we can feel confident whether or not this push is going to be valid or not, right? As long as one structure kind of shifts, um, yeah, one structure shifts, right? And that's when we kind of want to pretty much stay on that, right? And again, there's a lot of times where, or actually, let me not get too ahead of myself, right? Let me kind of try to explain this on the charts here, right? So a good example here is, right, is this like lower high point here, this little push to the downside. As we can see, we have multiple candles, right? Even, I mean, we can even like draw a support, and then it could look like a lower high, right? A lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, right? It can sort of show you some stuff. But again, as long as these supports, right, all these supports here, here, all that is not seen on the higher time frame, then it's not valid, right? I'm pretty sure this support is right here. Go to monthly, right? Like I said, this support is, that resistance is now, right? So there you go. That's kind of how things are pretty much pushing. Resistance, yes. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That would be okay. I need to have this pretty much okay, hold on. Lower low, lower high, lower low. Yes, so I need to pretty much be breaking this level here. Right here. That's what I need to be breaking, is that level here. Okay. Yeah, in order for these monthly, because again, that's that support here, right? And then that's that key level there. Break, cool. We've broken that level, cool. Oh. That's what I'm going with. Overall structure. Right, so kind of what I'm getting at now, right now, kind of being stuck at this point, is just because we have this bearish candle, right, and this bearish candle here. So base at this point here, we obviously want to see this level, this support here be broken, right? But when it doesn't break, at that point, are we still looking at structure here? Is this still that resistance level that needs to be broken? Rather than just this here, boom, boom, boom. These can just be candles. Yeah. Okay. All right. So overall, what I'm kind of going based off of, right? So again, so for example, right, this weekly candle, we have this push here, this bearish push, boom, right? And we have that structure point, boom. So we needed to break this like here and make a lower low, right? And we didn't make that lower low. Now we started push back. So none of this structure is valid, right? Because we didn't break it. So again, essentially when we formed that monthly candle, we did not break the main support that needed to be broken in order for us to kind of feel confident in kind of selling this again, right? And going like long terms right? So once again, we're still bearish, right? Still bearish because we haven't broken a lower high point, right? Which essentially, for now, I'm gonna go with this lower high point here, right? And that's kind of where I'm getting confused, because that lower high point there is this here, but now we have another bearish candle. So, but now if I'm wondering whether or not we stick to kind of this lower high point being the lower high point. Cause now we have bearish candles, right? Bear, bullish, bullish. Actually, I don't think I will. Because again, like, okay, so say this candle here, right? Say this bearish candle broke the support. Technically, then at that point, I would just be focusing on this structure here. You know, say on this candle here, we made that lower low. Then at that point, we'd have a monthly candle, right? Boom. So then essentially, I would still be focused on this bearish candle once it starts to pull back. But we didn't break a higher low point though. That's actually valid. I pretty much just stayed pushing. And that now would be that lower high point there. So one thing's for sure, right? One thing's for sure that, all right, we have that push, right? And essentially we didn't get that higher high point, right? And we're just gonna go back to, I'll come back to this, but let's just say this was that lower high point there, right? Essentially, we didn't make a higher high, right? Because we didn't get that bullish like we need to, right? To make this a valid level. So then at this point in time, when it comes to this push here, how do we feel confident about this push? How do we feel confident that it's, for one, going to come to this level? But even while it's pushing, how do we feel confident in that, right? So essentially, for one, it would be the fact, again, you're going based off the candles, right? So candle, that's what I'm saying. Look at here. Boom, boom, boom. We're not going off that resistance. Because it's just candles. That's all we're representing. It's just weekly candles. So at that point, we just want a bullish candle that's valid enough because we'll be breaking that level there. Even if it's bullish, cool, bearish, it's not a lower high point, right? And essentially, we're not looking for that break. Yeah, we're not looking for this break here. Like we're not, for example, that resistance there, boom. That resistance there. That resistance there, right? Essentially, because then we get that boom, and then we get this lower high point, which is bearish, which we also see as well. So essentially, but again, we didn't. There is no candle, okay, but we still have that push there. We still have that push there. We still have that push there. Golfing there. Yeah, bro, that would be kind of a push. All right, so that's one thing that I'm kind of just struggling with right now, right? It's literally just that. Is the fact that based off here now, right? Because again, we have that bear structure, so we have that lower low. Boom. And then here we kind of have like this, this, this. Because again, if like one base off that and one base off this structure. This is kind of the idea, right? The overall idea that I'm pretty much at. Just trying to perfect it. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to perfect it, right? Because again, I understand that at this point in time, right? If this candle here does not pretty much break the lower high point that is represented on the higher time frame, then essentially that move is invalid, right? But so again, how do we feel confident about that move, right? Well, now we have candles on here as well. Now these candles, right, have lower structure time frame on have structure on the. These candles have structure on lower time frames, right? So again, right here, and this is kind of a little bit like higher low point ish here. So we have a higher low point on that like bulky time frame for one. So that's really good. But here we have something that represents a lower high point. So now once we have this bearish candle, right? Now we have this bullish candle here. Be that, right? We have that candle there. So again, if these candles here somehow just start making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, right? It's not valid. This push is not valid because essentially we haven't broken the true level of a lower high point, which would be this candle. But now we have this candle here. So because we have this candle representing that, now we can feel confident in the fact that, yo, we broke a lower high point. Boom, 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 right? And then again, we continue to do that. Not once do we break a support. Here we almost break this support here, which was technically at this point just 100% retrace. And here's kind of that same example, right? Essentially, we would want that higher high. So I'm saying, so now at this point in time, is this now a level of resistance on the weekly? And now we technically got to break that now. You know what I mean? But we didn't. So still pretty much noise. And at that point, yeah, shit. At that point, it's just cool. Now we're getting bullish candles, right? Because again, we broke this lower high point with this bullish candle, and now we're back to making pretty much that. So again, it's all about the engulfing, right? So again, all this isn't even structure, right? That's not structure. That's not a higher low. That's not a higher high. That's not. This is just one big push, trying to make a higher high, trying to now push up here, make a higher high from breaking this lower high point. So if that doesn't happen, right? If we're not getting that lower high point break, then it's not valid, right? Then we shouldn't feel confident. Like anything, well, not that we shouldn't feel confident, but once we get a candle that essentially, like a weekly candle that represents lower low, lower high, like this candle here, we can now feel, or even just this candle here, because technically we have this support right here, boom, right? So even just from here, we have that candle now that represents that lower low, and now weekly candles are now being lower lows and lower highs, right? And now we just gotta continue to form those candles till we get to the lower part, to that key point off the higher time frame. You know what I mean? Because from here we could have thought that, okay, straight off is bearish, right? So that's the floor to the ground, right? But again, we didn't. We ended up maintaining key levels, right? Boom, like something like this. Even though this was that support that needed to be broken to pretty much get that lower low point, right? And then boom, yeah, that's pretty much that. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying though. It's like, what's confusing me, right? It's just kind of like, okay, because I understand that that's not the higher high point. That's the higher high point that needs to be broken, blah, blah, blah. But that's when you just have that one candle. I think that's like potential. I think that's like a potential lower high point, right? Or resistance level, right? Because for example, so say right here, this lower high point here, it's a lower high point yet, right? I mean, it's a resistance, right? But then when it comes to these current candles here, this bearish one, this bullish one, that's when we went bullish, right? Here, engulf that candle there, and now we're pretty much flowing back to pretty much the bullish candle, right? So now this is like a potential resistance level, right? That we need to be broken. And so essentially, if we freeze here, if we don't make a higher high, say we kind of pull back, start to pull back, right? And then we kind of make this here, and we try to make this lower high point here, and then it's trying to then like push up, but it's not, and then we kind of push down here, and then it forms a resistance level. That's kind of what is like a potential level where we can just see, like, if we're not getting that higher high and kind of just continuing to push like how we want, then it can become a potential resistance level for this to become like valid, right? For then like a lower high point now here, then it pushes. Now this is an actual lower high point because now it's mainly seen on the monthly. So then when we start to push up, that would be that next lower high point. I think so, bro. I think so. Because that's the thing, right? So again, back to the double candles. That's getting me kind of confused, right? So we have this here, boom. Then we have a lower high point. Boom, right? Essentially, that's the lower high point that we don't want to be broken. But again, if we can see that there and we start to do kind of like stuff like this, and then so it's technically bullish, bearish, 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 right? That would be that. So essentially, this would be that next point in structure here to pretty much get us to that next level for a higher high. Because we have a resistance there. We have that candle there that represents a lower high point. You know what I mean? So until then, until we get that candle, then it's kind of hard for us. And again, all we need really is just, so we have that. So essentially we would want a higher low point, and again, just for candles to be kind of forming in a sense, right? Like here we would want, this would be nice, right? But again, now we're just kind of getting candles, kind of going back to that same thing, right? Now we're just getting candles, 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 that we need to be breaking this, right? So if on monthly we have a bearish candle that represents, I mean, not necessarily a lower low point though. So that's bearish, bearish, bearish. And we have, that's just a resistance level. That's just that most current, like, lower high point. And that would be the difference between, like, right now this would just be a counter trend. So essentially we would want to see some type of, and even then, right? Because that would be that. So essentially it's like a counter trend that's valid, that's seen on the, on this here, but it's not even like a real level. Like, it's not a true structure, it's just a level of resistance that needs to be broken, right? Pretty much. Like if we see this on this on the higher time frame, it's not a lower high point, it would just be a resistance level that needs to be broken, right? And then once we break this lower high point resistance level, it would be a lower high point, right? It's not even just that, it would be a lower high point. Because it's seen. Even just that, boom. Same thing, because even when we get that bullish candle, boom, bearish candle, essentially that's that high point that needs to be broken. That's that lower high point, that's that resistance level that needs to be broken. Because it's seen, you know? So even if you have something like this, something like a lower high point, that's that lower high point that needs to be broken. So anything else after that, like this, it's just noise, right? Until we actually break the level that we actually want. And it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. So as long as we understand that we're counter trending that move because of X, Y, and Z. So essentially like the bearish push, right? Like essentially, I mean the bullish push, like we can have this, boom, right? And then say we just have bearish candles, bearish candles, bearish candles, right? In a lower time frame, this is like a shift in structure, right? So essentially we would want that bullish candle next to come here, engulf that, and then pretty much, yeah, engulf that candle there, kind of like here, engulf this candle, engulf that candle. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Engulf this candle here. And then just start to make bullish candles. Back to the upside. Back to, again, if this is that, oh no, this is just candle, sorry. So that's that, and that's that bullish candle, bearish, bearish, bearish. We would just need that break here. And then bullish, bullish. So again, that could be a potential area because again, like we've seen that how that level, we've seen that we created resistance here, right? And then we pretty much fell off. So that's just a resistance level. Now again, we can see it come back to that level and then create potentially a support, I mean a resistance level, because we already seen struggle the first time. Second time, right? Can be that level there for sure. And this is how this is kind of, because now we have that resistance level there. Head and shoulders, pretty much a resistance level. So it was like a resistance level, came back, didn't break, and now we're pushing down, pushing back up again, and now we're not breaking that level, so now it's breaking the lower high point. Okay, that's what I'm gonna go with, bro. Because again, that structure is invalid. Like if we get that double, kind of like this here, it's not valid. Like, again, we're just going based off that next candle, right? Not saying that necessarily we have a bearish. Like, it's not valid. Like, the trend hasn't broken, right? Like that we haven't had a real bearish candle that gives us more like confidence in the fact that we broke a lower low point. Like here, like there's no confidence in that. We didn't break a real support, right? But now we did form a lower high point, a resistance level, right? A lower high point. That's what we broke. So this is where essentially same thing we would want. This is that break there, you know. Okay. And that's what I'm gonna go with. That's what I'm gonna go with. And like I said before, this like lower high point is just a potential resistance level. See, like right now, exactly what I drew. It's Head and Shoulders, right? Boom, came back up. It's just like pretty much that we're just at a key level. That's how we are. We're just at that key level. Then we try to push back down, right? And now we're pushing back up. So potentially what we could see, like if this becomes a Head and Shoulder right here, right now that we formed this resistance, but now we're pushing up, cool, let that push up, and then maybe we create some type of like crazy exhaustion to then push to the downside. Because we didn't break now the real resistance. Like right now we kind of broke, again, right now off just this right here, this candle broke this here. So now we're at that lower low, and now the retracement, right? Boom, got a higher high. So now we're kind of back bullish, right, based off all that. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at there. Right, so again, the main key point that I'm trying to point out, that I'm trying to really engrave, is just feeling confident in our candles, right? Whenever we hit buy, whenever we hit sell, gotta feel confident in essentially that momentum, that push. Right now, again, going back to before then, right? We don't technically have to wait for that, right? Again, we just have to be at that key level that essentially we're supposed to be making a lower low at. And if we're not getting that, if we're getting exhaustion, and then at the same time like a higher low point, and then at the same time an engulfing, that's when we feel confident. And then boom, we got that confidence. Now so we could have been scaling in, right? We could have got in because of exhaustion, scaled in, boom, got our higher high point, right? Boom. And again, this is us being able to be like, okay, well, I'm gonna hold this candle, still maintaining, maybe another order, boom, 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 and now we're just flowing with the push. You know, bro. Okay, so that's my foundation right there. That's the foundation that I need to stick to. And the same thing goes back to the double candles, right? I'm just going based off that next candle, right? Because again, if it was just a push, then that's just a push. But here it's literally showing me that we had a push, little pullback, and then we had a secondary push, right? We have another lower high point. That's when that lower high point, that second lower high point, is valid. Not necessarily we don't have to break this here. Now that's just a potential resistance level, a potential area of struggle where now structure can find, again, struggle, right? And now we're not breaking that level. Like we failed to break it once, cool, came back, retraced. Now we're trying to break it again. Not necessarily break it again, but again, that's all that is, right? It's just a key level, area of struggle, right? So and then here it's the same thing. Now we're just making candles, trying to not break the real level of resistance there. You know? And that's what I'm gonna go with. Okay. So right now it's 8:20. It's Memorial Weekend, Memorial Day tomorrow. So I don't even know if I want to trade. But this is gonna be a good week for me. Right now I have $273 in the account. And I want to be at least 2K by the end of the week. By like that Thursday or Friday, right? 2K. Trust me, I can do that shit. Okay. So bullish candle, boom, right? So I got that. So, okay, overall higher high, right? Overall higher high, boom. Just kind of based off this structure here, boom, higher low, higher high, right? Boom, higher high. This is off GU, huh? Do we want to trade? Is markets even open on one more day? So it's still open. I don't know how good the moves will be. I don't know. I don't know if I just want to sit it out until Tuesday. I don't know. So yeah. So I mean, I'm not trying to even have a goal, right? Like again, if we can make 3K, 4K, 5K, like I'm not trying to put a limit. I'm just trying to trade, right? But minimum, right? Minimum I want to be at is anywhere from like a K to 2K. That's minimum. That's like shouldn't be struggling at this point, you know. So that's that, and that's my foundation. So I'm gonna leave that at that, right? So now we kind of have pretty much this support, right? So now we kind of on an overall bigger time frame, bigger scale of things, right? This is a higher low point that needs to be broken, and then if we break that, we can kind of feel confident, kind of pushing towards that, because at least we'll have that structure. This will be structure. Okay, understood. Got it. Same thing goes for that. Right now we have this little. I don't know about these lower high points, so I might just find the median for that here. Boom. I'm just leave it at that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now now candles, right? Candles. Pretty much have that there. Boom, boom, boom. Pretty much got that break there. I can already tell this. So I want to look at this here, right? Off the weekly time frame. This is that push. Pretty much there. Okay, so this is that support there. So if I look at this, right, that's that support there. That's that candle there. So now do we have March, Monday, 23rd, 23 March. So we should have this bridge here, March and April. So we do actually have again, that's that lower high point, right? And that's kind of us just kind of, that's a true lower high point. So it is what it is, right? That's just that structure point there. Boom, right? That's that lower high point based off that structure. So now, essentially, when it comes to the monthly and weekly structure, we have that lined up, right? We have that higher low, and look at this, we're already kind of forming bullish structure, right? Bro, what the fuck? Higher low. So again, another thing maybe I can write down is, again, structure is valid if it's just seen on higher time frame. So again, sometimes it can be choppy, blocky, and it's not valid. Sometimes it can be choppy, blocky, and it's represented on higher time frames, then it's valid, right? Like again, it's just structure. That's why structure is so complicated, but again, structure never lies, right? So now we have this bullish candle. So now we're trying to find what? Now we're trying to find that bullish push, that bullish push, right? Actually, I'll sell here. And this is now kind of where I'm lacking now, and like kind of these key levels. Because again, I don't potentially we struggled here, right? Like again, we could potentially be struggling again, right? Like this can be a level of struggle. We can just blow past that, you know. But I think I'm gonna just mark it off, right? I'm gonna just mark it off as a level, right? Because now we're kind of last time we were under this level here. We ended up selling off right here, selling off a little bit, pushed up, selling off a little bit. Now again, we can potentially be selling off or just using that level. Like here, we kind of pushed above it here, boom. We keep going, we kind of pushed above it here. If we go a little bit more, we ended up pushing above it here, right? So again, this is a key level. yeah, so I think we just gotta react off of it and see how lower time frames is kind of what it's telling us, right? So right now we got that higher low, and now we got that higher high. Could this be a higher low point, right? Could this be that higher low point that potentially and then pushes up to make that higher high point, right? So that would be that level there. Boom, boom, boom. At this point in time, though, right, we're counter trending because technically we have this bearish candle. So now if we go on lower time frames, we get that bearish candle. We have a we have a lower high, and then we have a lower low. Boom, boom, boom. Lower high, and then we have a lower low. Okay, that's simple. So now at this point, now we're pretty much counter trending, right? We look like we can be potentially doing what? Boom, 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 boom. All that stuff, right? Keep in mind that it's technically still counter. We don't have nothing yet that pretty much gives us an indication to go bullish. Can this still go bullish? Yes, right? That's the risky part about things. What I would love for here to happen is kind of a pullback and pretty much like exhaustion and pretty much giving us an indication that we cannot break past the lower low. You know what I mean? Create exhaustion and then pretty much being a higher low point. Because again, this is just a potential. That's not a real support. Even if we do break that support, doesn't mean it's a support. Like again, it's just that candle, right? Candle. So again, lower on daily, it is a support. So we have to break this level here. That's that lower low point. That's exactly what I mean. So all this can happen. All this gibberish here can happen. If we don't technically break under here, nothing matters. You know, this is where we can get kind of risky in a sense. This is where we can get. I mean, like if we show exhaustion, if we do all this stuff, we can try to kind of push and enter off that level there. Boom, and it kind of just push up, right? But again, it's all about now this structure now. So now we have this structure here. I can already see that we have bullish candles here. We have this in control. Bearish candle. Looks like we had a bullish candle here. Maybe make a higher high. Same thing, retracement. Bullish. And now we're kind of active on this candle here. Okay. So actually I need to kind of see this candle here. So I'm gonna go down H. I don't think H4 would be the time frame to give me the. Actually, it's not that bad. But do I have my lower? I don't have my lower high point, right? That's the thing too. Like when I go down H4, I don't see this here. Now it is very, very like looks to be clean. Looks to be very, very. We did break it on or make it on until Friday. So Friday would be here. All this here is not what we see on higher time frames. And that was that push here. Or do we see that level there? Still Friday? How many still Friday? We have Friday. Push. And that's just that whole day. Yeah, that's just that whole day. So actually, I'm gonna leave it on H4. H4 is not that bad for that structure. So I'm gonna leave it on H4. Pretty much since then we've been making higher highs and then higher lows and then higher highs. And even here, this is a perfect example, right? So now at this point, okay, let's go back to this daily time frame real quick. Boom, you have this bullish candle, right? So here off the rip, bullish candle. We even have a bullish candle here. Oh no, resistance on Thursday. So off the Thursday candle, Thursday, all of this becomes that here. We want to go based off the most highest point. Like we form resistance and then we continue to form resistance. Even made another. Oh, that's actually Friday. So Thursday. Boom. All right, cool. So technically, is this resistance there? That's that resistance level right there. Bang. So pretty much that was that, right? So we never really went bearish, right? But we are starting to form resistance, right? And we're not breaking that area there. So right now we're at this bullish candle here. At this point in time, technically it's not even a bullish. That's not even a. I don't consider that to be a higher high, right? For one, a gap. For two, we don't have bullish. Right now we're creating this little here, this little bearish candle there. H4. Boom. Let's actually put this as a. Actually, how this like high-ish type of thing. We'll just put high. And then the most recent would be this higher low point here. And then just for tracking, we did break this lower high point there. For daily, cool. Cool. So we're still pretty much bullish, right? Bullish on H4 and this minor structure here that we're still, yeah, with this, we can even now kind of put this little trend line here. Sorry, counter trend line. Bang. Actually, that there doesn't look bad either. So that's just that, right? High, higher low, daily candle. That there, right? So I mean, if we can just make a lower low here, boom, catch that. And that's pretty much it. Like that would pretty much solidify this here selling off, right? But again, that's the, can we get that? We're technically not making any higher highs to begin with as well. Once again, like before, there's going to be a resistance level now. We kind of just struggle to kind of break, perhaps, right? But again, we're not bearish H4. We still haven't broke. This would be that on Friday. Friday. There's Thursday. Boom. Friday. Boom. So off this level here, off that, that's kind of where we're at. That's kind of what I struggle, because I understand structure, right? But again, sometimes I don't even know whether or not, like my key, I just understood key points a lot better. I understand that I knew that I was truly at a strong key point. Maybe I'd feel safer selling. All right, so then we can have this bearish bullish. Oh, we have this H4 candle here trying to make that higher high. So now let's like dive deep into that candle there. We have that H4 there. We have this H4 candle here. This one was on the 17th. I mean, on the 7 o'clock, 17 o'clock, right here. Right here. I'm just gonna go do that right there, because it's a gapped. Higher low, cool, and then we got the higher high here. Okay. Again, candles, right? Candles are the biggest thing right now. So right now we understand that off the 30-minute, we're pretty much bullish, right? We're H4, so we have momentum off the lower time frame to pretty much break this here. Let's go base off this candle here. We understand that that's that resistance there. Bang. Do we have a candle right now that represents any type of, right here, lower low, lower low. 23. 23, 23 here. That's not even being seen on the time frame. We did just get a start early though. Start early. So we got a higher high. So we pretty much broke this resistance here, 23. Boom, in a resistance level. Pretty much just broke it to 23 and shows that there. Cool. Alright, off the 30-minute structured time frame, we don't have nothing, right? That's just that. So we pretty much already made a lower low. We retraced, tried breaking that there, boom. And again, we have a 30-minute resistance that technically, or just a candle. Just a candle. It's trying to become resistance. And if that's the case, then dang, bro. Okay. What did I miss? Okay. Fuck. This is what I mean. Like I can see the cell. Is it there? Don't know. Again, look at how we just been struggling right now. We did get a little push, but again, this is still active, right? This is the daily candle. That's still that candle that we're pretty much off of on, right? But if I'm saying technically anything, if I'm trying to sell, or it doesn't even mean that. What time is it? 8:39. For H4 to be it's not even moving right now either. No, we're not in session. if we can form a lower high point at this point in time, I'd feel a lot more confident in trying to sell that. Something like this. Let me continue, because again, that candle's still active. So I mean, we did make a higher high. We did make a higher high. Did make a higher high. 30-minute. Even 30-minute right now, like we have a higher low, we have a higher high, higher low, higher high, right? It's 30-minute, so we're pretty much bullish, right? That's kind of what I'm saying. Is at this point in time, we'd still be pretty much counter trending down here. You know, so this again, this would be like a counter trend. Or I can wait for that H4, because now we'd have a resistance level, we'd have an actual level of resistance. Boom, would be that resistance. Hold on, based off of this was 21. So 21. Push bearish. So yeah, that is that right there. And that would be the level that we would have to break, right? So if we don't break that, like off this time frame here, boom, right? And then something like that. And then that way, 30-minute. But we're not actually. But then that'll be countering, because technically we wouldn't be breaking. It wouldn't be breaking a real low of support. But it's still like a support level. Especially, again, everything's just clean, right? So again, that would be that support level there. Here. Not a real support, right? Because it's not seen. But say we do push up a little bit here. And then we do something like this. And this is clean, right? That's something that's clean. Essentially, we can go based off like this temporary little trend. Alright, lower high, lower low. Especially if that's the resistance like this that's formed. So again, that's the kind of based off. That's what we would pretty much be labeling this, right? Is pretty much a counter trend. The counter trend is when it's pretty much going bearish and it's smooth enough to be able to see on that time frame, like on the M30. If M30 starts to do this smooth, cool, we have a counter trend, right? And we can go based off the resistance and that needs to be broken based off the H4, right? But essentially, if we haven't broken the true level of support, that we haven't shifted bearish yet. So that's just like straight counter trend, right? Or we can just have it where it's just super sloppy, super like we can just be doing this, right? Boom, 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 like something like this. And this is all just one H4 push, right? So essentially, same thing. It's like, okay, we don't have that level yet, or we don't have that structure in a sense to be pushing that we want to, like, confidently. All right, let's go kind of back to this here. How are we forming here? Look at this. See right here off the rip. It's that level there. We still need the support to be broken here. We got that pretty much lower high point here. So we do have a active higher high. That we're trying pretty much just did like 100% retrace. But now if I really want to see this, like we would need an engulfing. We would need stuff like that, you know. be that bearish candle that, like, see, we're already kind of forming that. So actually, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually kind of get back up here. You know what I mean? That can be a continuation of this overall move and just kind of a straight push. Bang. Again, I could wait for that. Or I can just wait for... I don't feel like, again, I feel confident in that and what I just said structure wise, but because it's Memorial Day, I don't know how this shit's gonna act. You know what I mean? Because the US dollar, but I know all that affects, you know what I mean? I don't know if we're just US, it's gonna be slow, you know what I mean? Like maybe just bearish because there's not much to go off of, or does that mean that the GU pound is just gonna overtake all this and just kind of continue to push? You know? So that's just that, bro. I'm just about that. We don't have that level, that higher high. And I could even see it right now as we speak. Like this little lower high point right now, I'm trying to find. Right here, look right here, boom. Right, exhaustion, not breaking this level. I can just off the rib just start putting a buy, honestly, if I really wanted to. I mean, especially if 32nd here, what I want with 32nd is like a higher low point would be nice. So boom, you have that push here, but we know it's lower high, boom. So maybe just something like this would be okay, engulfing lower low. So again, we're still pretty much just pushing something like this even. Cool. That would be that like lower resistance there. Tempted. Based off this. Stop loss. The stop loss would even have to be at to feel safe. This is like 30.18. Actually, that's not bad, bro. Just for this move right here, if I think this is gonna be a quick little move here. And technically that level there and 30. That is that level here. Oh no, we're based on off here. Okay, so actually we have that right now within this next section, within this candle right here. If we can get a golf in here on M30, that's not gonna be a lower low. We have 15 seconds left. I need to see at this point, fuck, not that, but it's pretty much a, let's maintain this over here. I need this M30, I need this 30 minute here. We have support even here. That even gives me a little bit more confidence here, but we need to see this lower here break. If we can get a closure above here, off this time frame, off the M3, perfect. Right, perfect. That's what we need. Take profit would actually be kind of up here. It's actually gonna be a quick little scalp, even if you can get it. kind of just put me at that 300 range maybe. I don't know how much I would actually make off that here. $1. Actually, $100. It's not bad at all. If we can actually get the push that we want. 147 all the way up there. That's not bad at all. I think that if we can get the momentum that we need to kick in right now, that's what I need, bro. But I'm kind of going off a limb. I don't know how the structure is going to be. Okay, so we have that there. We have that support there. 30-second there. Alright, we're kind of getting what we want at the moment. A lot of weak candles, not breaking that pretty much low point here. We kind of maybe here, there. Cool, but we're not breaking that resistance there either. So, and now we're kind of pushing off that. So even if we just kind of did this here, lower low, we kind of need a support, or just the support right now that's at right now would be nice if we can just kind of flip. Right, at this point in time, we want, what did M3 just form? Oh, M3 can just form actually resistance right now if we, like, as we speak. And it can just break that as well in the next candle. Okay, so right now, boom, boom, just formed that candle there. Cool. Now here, I think it's this level here. $23.51. $23.51. Okay, cool. So even if we just break this here, get a higher high right now, that's straight. That's more than, because we still need to break even just this level, this support, this one right here at 23.48. 23, 23, 23.48, 23.48. 23.48. Okay, so we make that there, and then we kind of get this here. It's not a real level. 23.48. Oh, fuck. Of course, momentum just kind of shoots down there. 30-second. Okay, boom. Come on. I'm pretty much saying that that right there is going to be that 30-second. I just need this momentum to kick in, my boy. But it looks like we could potentially be flipping the scripts. 23.48, 23.48, 23.48, 23.48, 23.48. If we can form another bullish candle right now, we'll be good. So it's pretty much just based off this next kind of push. Either we push the upside or continue to push down. As long as we can maintain this, another bullish candle. Doji. Come on. Another bullish candle here would be nice. Sweet. And then right now we're pretty much within this candle here. We have a lot of bearish momentum. So tell me what I kind of want to just take off the stop loss just to be sure that I understand the loss I'm trying to not take, but I don't want to get like a dumb wick right now and just like take me out. Alright, that's kind of what we needed right there. We just got to push up now. Now we just got to find the momentum to push up. 30 minutes, that kind of just made that. That kind of just made that. Let's be patient right here. We get any type of bearish candle, bearish engulfing, bearish anything, I might just call it done. You know what I mean? Based off the structure itself, but if we can just maintain. All right, I'm gonna just wait a little bit more. So this candle right here. M30. I mean M3. We still have 2 candles. Yep. Disappeared within like fucking 4 seconds. So I'm staying patient right here. Kind of made a support. What is it? 23.57. 23 right here. Structure still hasn't. We're kind of just consolidating around this zone, right? So as long as structure can maintain that support, we haven't went bearish, back bearish based off this here. So we are kind of just counter trading at this point. So it's give or take, right? Give or take. I'm kind of just counter trading, but again, I'm playing with a very, very small time frame, smaller lots. 13 bucks, 12 bucks. Max I'll lose is just 20 bucks. But what I would like to see is a closure above here. Some type of higher high. It's beautiful. If we can carry out that momentum right here that we have right now, that would be nice. Especially too if we can get closure above this candle right here. Closure above that right there. Off the 32nd, that's pretty much what we would need. I need a higher high, I need a higher high. There we go, there we go, there we go. Come on, let's keep pushing, let's keep pushing. One thing about this now is now we have structure. Now we have structure. So at this point in time, we just need to kind of continue this. M5. 2330. 2330 right here. So candle active. This is that. There. Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, so that's pretty much the active. Higher high. That we pretty much need. Candle open, you shot up, shot all the way back down. And now we're pretty much chasing that. So we'll see how these candles actually form. So that's that engulfing there. Okay, so based off the 3 minute, it's this time frame here. Based off of 0 to 3. I want to say it's this, but we don't have that. So now we're kind of going out a little limb right now. But now again, just 3 minute candles now have to pretty much continue to form until it was a higher high to feel confident, right? Because again, I'm not saying that if you don't get the higher high, it means shut off, just sell. But it could mean a deep sell, you know what I mean? So right here, just pay attention. I really want to see this momentum just kind of flow through this right now. That was perfect. That was like, again, if we can get the move that we want all the way up here, sensational, right? Sensational. The closest thing we have to just that structure, I mean, it would definitely have to be something like this, just based off the fact that we have support. Even that doesn't even reach all the way up there. So we definitely are going on a limb right now. Alright, well, we're trying to get some type of backfire right now. Candle close. I would say that we do have a higher high. That was that candle there. This candle was literally on the 3 minute mark. So open right here off this candle here, open. 3 minute mark, open, and now we closed. Times it, we did close already, boom. So it's really just here, but we don't really have that there. I mean, now we're kind of, I don't mind holding this out now because especially since we're kind of a lot more above. I know what I'm looking for. I know what I don't want to look like, what I'm not looking for. So at this point in time here, we kind of have this little support of this candle. That's that same support. So anything like, if we get a bearish, it's not what we want, right? And I mean, momentum does seem to be kind of slowing down right around there. So I hope this doesn't just become a break-even trade, right? Because I was shocked. But as of now, if I'm looking at just straight this structure here, candle, right? We still have this here. That's still that candle there that needs to be broken. So we have pretty much, so actually this is actually a higher low point, because if I can just look at structure here, lower low, lower high, obviously we didn't make a lower low, then we created a support, we didn't make a higher high, now we're just kind of battling this out. But if this exhaustion means what it means, and we can actually get a closure above that resistance, even just the resistance that it made. Maybe we can kind of circle around here. Going back to like that 12, 13 mark. Again, candles are just candles, right? So they actually mean something. 3 minute. How many more time? Oh, so we actually do have that there. Interesting. Closing out the way we closed out. I'm still gonna hold. I'm still gonna hold. There can just be a deep retracement, overextend. Again, we're talking about $13. Don't mind holding this out. We have that support there. Not support, we just have that candle there, which I'm pretty much sure we broke. But at this point in time, it's kind of just seeing if we can kind of break this little. It's not support. Support is just a bullish push candle. Let's see if we can kind of maintain this here. Right now, at this point in time, we kind of have a bearish going on with the active candle. So as long as we can kind of, because this, oh yeah, that's pretty much what made that candle right there, right? So we don't have a lower low just yet, but if we can get an engulfing here and start to pretty much push up, perfect. If we start to kind of show weakness here, that could be a sign to pretty much sell off. So it's not, but again, if we can just, it depends how we kind of form once. Let's see if we can just push up here. If we can push up here, I'll look at the current candle that it's at, and if I see an engulfing or anything like that, then I might just kind of sell off. But if we can push up here and then just kind of maintain that bullish push and then just kind of get another push here, that can be another sign for another deep bullish push. Maybe the one that we want, right? The one that we're looking for. But as of now, we're not really getting there. We're getting a lot of weak candles. So again, this could also be because we're not in session. So we're not getting the volume that we really want or that we really need. But nonetheless, we can still get the push that we want. So here, a little bullish candle, maybe a little boom, perfect. Let's see if we can just maintain this, right? If we can get a strong bullish candle, perfect. That's what we're gonna want. And then we'll just kind of see how we kind of react off of that. So it's really just now seeing how we react off this level here. It's not like a strong level of resistance, but it's still a resistance level. So we can show signs of like of us breaking above it. Perfect, right? That's what we need. That's what we want. Beautiful, right? Beautiful bullish candle. Beautiful bullish candle. This is not what we want to see. Even though we do see it, it's not. It doesn't sound like we have a strong bullish candle. So at this point, that's what we kind of have to kind of do a bearish engulfing. Boom. So as long as we can kind of just hold this momentum here, push up, this kind of just erases. None of that even means anything. 30 minute here. Because again, we didn't get the true high point, right? Or, yeah, we didn't get that true high. This candle here was that lower low. So again, we still technically have a lower low. But as long as this here doesn't truly engulf, then we should be good. So right now we're not engulfing it just yet. Perfect. Now we just need that bullish push. Take it to the sky. 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 Damn, did we just get another bullish candle? Boom, boom. Okay. I'm not liking this here. Right, this is signs of us pretty much slowing down at this resistance, right? Bullish candle there. What I don't want to see is fat bearish engulfing. If it does, then I'm pretty much maybe probably just close out. Let's see. Yeah. It's not the move that we wanted, right? Just like I said earlier. Like, again, and this can still push up, right? This can still push up. But I think with the money that I'm playing with right now, I'm only at 250. I need to see more momentum start kicking. I mean, yeah, because this is still that level there. That's still out there. Bearish candle. Bullish candle. I mean, that's still pretty much the same thing, right? We still have that 3-minute there. That's what I'm saying. Like, at this point in time, I wouldn't want to hold this. Because technically this 3-minute candle here means nothing. Besides that, we just have support, so we could have been, we're just consolidating at this point. But look at this here too. This could be kind of that whole, so again, it's just not really, again, this was just a $10 trade, nothing crazy, $13 loss. I'm gonna just come back tomorrow where there's potentially volume. But again, with Memorial, I might just sit this out. Might just sit it out, to be honest. Let it be. And then come back on Tuesday and try to trade this.